Okay, so I just got back from doing some rounds on the Apollo Ghost. So I thought it'd be a good time to talk about battery performance and how much mileage you can get out of this thing. So I logged everything. Unfortunately, I logged it on my phone, which is what I'm filming with, so I can't actually show it. But I totaled 22.2 miles today. And I started out with 100% battery, which was 58.5 volts. Now, I don't know how accurate the onboard voltmeter is, but everything is based off of the same voltmeter. So right now I'm at 45 volts and let's see, 45.2. And I'm on the last bar of battery. So I don't know how much further it would go. I think bottom on this is 42 volts. I'm pretty sure it's a 52 volt battery, so I think the bottom is 42. So that means it would probably go a ways. So when it starts out with 100%, it's got a lot of torque. Like it really scoots. When you start getting under 50%, economy mode and first gear kind of start to become like what economy mode is with a full battery. First gear sort of becomes when you get much under 50%. So your hill climbing ability drops, your speeds drop, so on and so forth. So for example, with a full battery, economy mode will top you out at about 17 on a flat surface. Uphill, you might be like 14, 15 if it's a real steep hill. And at 100% battery, first gear will top you out like 20 to 22 on the flats, and up a real steep hill, you might be doing like 18, 19, but pretty close to that 20 mark. So then what happens is you get to like say 38% of your battery, you know, like let's say you're rolling at 48 volts. First gear now effectively mimics the performance of economy mode with a full battery, if that makes sense. So that's the kind of diminishing power you can expect. I'll give you another example. There's a hill I come up. It's a 6% grade. It's about a mile long. And with over 80% of a battery, I'd say 70% or above on the battery. So you're looking at 53 volts roughly or higher. In first gear, I can get up that hill going between 22, about 22 miles an hour, or excuse me, second gear. It'll be 22 to 24 miles per hour, and second gear tops out at 30. So I just went up that hill in second gear, and I was doing 16 miles an hour with 46 volts. So basically 5-6 miles an hour slower up the same hill based on the diminishing battery, which frankly I think for the amount of money you pay for a Ghost, I mean, that's not bad, especially considering that I'm 6'3", 6'2.5", and 255 pounds, and I probably had a good 15 pounds of stuff on me. So this thing's hauling, you know, roughly 275 pounds in gear. So with a giant sail on it like me with all that weight, I'd say that's pretty stinking good performance. Now, and then as I just said, that's 22.5 miles total. I broke it into trips. The first trip was 6 miles. Then I did two 2-mile trips. Then I did, I think it was a 3-mile, let's see, 6, 2, 2. Yeah, 3-mile trip. And then I did a 9-mile trip was my last. And that's a mostly flat, but there was a decent mix of hills in there. And here in Seattle, we got some hills. Like we don't, 6% grade is nothing around here. I mean, that's a shallow hill. There's several hills in my neighborhood that are well over 15%. Most of them are very short, so most of our hills are not necessarily super long, although we got those for you too if you're looking for them. So yeah, so the performance is excellent. I mean, I don't think there's anything to complain about. It's a small battery pack. It's 18.2 amp hours. That's not very big. And this particular battery is over a year old. So I don't keep track of my charging cycles. So I don't know, how many full charging cycles it's been through. I can't give you any good data on that. But it is an older battery, so you could expect possibly better performance out of a newer unit. Now, since we're talking about batteries and performance, I think this is a good time to look at something. So if you buy the Ghost from Apollo, you're gonna just get, I think it's like a 2 amp hour charger, 2.5 amp hour charger, something like that. And you don't get any control with it. I don't know if you buy the VDM 10, which is the same scooter, just not from Apollo. I'm not sure what kind of charger that comes with. I believe it was Fluid Free Ride, and you can get these other places, but I got a different charger, and I'll show it. It's got like a volt and an amperage readout here. So it'll tell you how many volts your battery pack has, and then it'll tell you how many amps it's charging at. But the really cool thing is, for one, it actually has an on-off switch on it, so you can get it all plugged in before you even turn it on, which is pretty slick. But over here, there's a couple of knobs. And this knob, you got 100%, 90%, or 80%. So you can actually control when the charger stops charging your battery. Now, I normally only charge this scooter to 80% because most of the time I'm only taking it short distances. However, today I started at 100 because I knew I was going to be covering ground and I needed that extra charge. For example, I'm not sure I would have made it home if I didn't charge it to 100% today at the route that I took. So now over here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stands for is the amount of amps you're going to charge at. So you can charge it to 80%, 90%, or 100%, and you can charge it 1 amp, 2 amp, 3 amp, 4 amp, 5 amp. Now here's the deal with lithium ion batteries. This is true for all lithium ion batteries. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what the cell size is. It doesn't matter if it's a Tesla or your cell phone. Here's the deal. You only have so many full charge cycles in a lithium ion battery. So you can only deplete it all the way and charge it to 100% all the way a few times, like, I think it's like, it depends on the cell, but usually you're looking at like 200 to 500 full cycles. And then what happens after that is your battery life diminishes. So that means if like 100% was here when it was new, and then you charge it 400 times, now all of a sudden 100% is like here, right? So like, instead of your battery lasting this long now, it's only gonna last this long. So you can still use the battery and you still have a long time to use it, but your overall capacity has been depleted. So the way around that is, if you can try to keep your batteries constantly between 20%, so try not to drain them lower than 20%, and try not to charge them higher than 80%, if you can keep them in that range, you will increase the lifespan of your batteries being able to hold a true full charge by, it's like 5 times. Like, it's significant, right? So like, if you did a full charge and a full deplete cycle on a normal battery, and let's say you get like 2 years out of it, if you could do between 20 and 80, you might get like 6 or 7 years out of it before you start seeing a capacity depletion. I hope what I'm saying makes sense, because I'm not an expert on this, but I'm pretty knowledgeable about it, I think. Anyway, so if you're gonna do a lot of trips, like I would say 10 to 15 miles, like if that's gonna be kind of your regular, you're not gonna be hitting much over 15 very often. And there aren't a lot of hills in particular. Like the VDM 10 or the Ghost might be a great choice, because you could, just charge it to 80% all the time, and your batteries will last for freaking ever, right? If you're gonna be doing a lot of long trips, and I've only done like half dozen trips over 20 miles on this, so I haven't done a lot of them. I'd do more if it was a bigger scooter. That's a different story. I'm probably gonna upgrade here at some point. But what I say your ideal would be to actually oversize. So it's probably better to buy a scooter with a bigger battery than you really need, because that way you'll never have to deplete it lower than 20%, and you'll never have to charge it over 80%, and you'll get the most bang for your buck out of it, So that's kind of ideal. And, obviously the flatter the terrain you're on, the less power that you're really gonna need. For example, and I should have probably said this at the beginning, I don't ride fast. I ride at like 15 to 20 miles an hour. That's my sweet spot. And I like bike lanes, and I don't like being in the street. Now, the legalities of that are a little fuzzy, and it depends on where you live. I'm totally allowed in bike lanes. Sidewalks, things get kind of dicey. Now, I'm really respectful of everyone else. So if I have to dismount the scooter and walk it for a block or two, that's what I do. If I'm in a hurry, I'm not taking my scooter. So I'm not going to be mixing it up with the cars. Now, if you're going to mix it up with the cars where you live, that's your business, and you're probably going to want to wear motorcycle gear, and you're probably going to want to go faster speeds than me. So don't expect this scooter to get this kind of range, this Apollo Ghost, to get the kind of range that I got today if you're going 25, 30 everywhere you go. You're going to suck this thing dry in 15 miles easy if you're going that fast, especially if you're my weight and height, and especially if you have a lot of hills. So, I ride real slow, bike lanes. I really try to avoid sidewalks, but sometimes, like I said, I'll get off and push it if I have to. But if there's nobody on the sidewalk, I'm riding it. And yeah, so my average speed today, I didn't calculate, but I would guess it was no more than 15 or 16. If I have no choice but to mix it up in the street, I will go 20 to 25 miles an hour. And I only hit 20 a few times today because my route was very, there wasn't a lot of traffic. So the few times I was in the street, I could just go super slow if I wanted because there wasn't anybody around. So the lower your speed is, the further your range is going to be. So if you don't want range anxiety and you're going to be going distances of 20 miles all the time, and you've got hills or mixed terrain, say it's really windy and you want to go faster, don't get a Ghost. Just don't. Unless you want to add another battery to it, which that's a separate thing. You can actually get kits from Falcon, P-E-V. Falcon, as in the bird, P-E-V. They're based in Singapore, and they do sell upgrade kits where you can wire an additional battery in parallel with what your current battery, so you can effectively double your range. So if I did that, I could get another 18.2 amp hour battery, wire it in with this one, and today I could have gone 44 miles and I'd be at the same spot. So it's kind of up to you. Now, this has mainly been about performance and range, but I think another aspect of performance is durability. And what I can tell you is, again, I'm really tall and heavy. And the VDM10, or the Ghost here, holds up great. It's very sturdy. It's very well made. I don't do anything crazy with it like jumps or curbs or any of that because I'm not really interested in finding out just exactly where the breaking point is. But, we have a lot of potholes and nasty terrain around here. Our roads are in terrible shape. So this thing's hit a lot of real nasty bumps with me on it, and it's fine. It's tight. It doesn't make any noise. It's super quiet. The motors are quiet. I mean, sometimes it's kind of annoying how quiet it is because if I do have to navigate around people, they don't hear me coming. It's just total stealth. But that also comes in handy too because we got a lot of crazy meth heads downtown, and sneaking around those guys without notifying them I'm on my way is kind of nice. So yeah. Anyway, that's a big thumbs up. Performance-wise, I'm super happy with it because I don't go that fast. So, but this thing will go fast. And even with me on it, if you're over 80%, it shoots up to 30 miles an hour pretty stinking quick. And I think my next scooter is going to be like a Wolf Warrior or a Dualtron or something like much more potent. In terms of wattage, it'll be like 4+ times the amount of power output this thing has. But I want self-healing tires. I want something that's a little bit, that has a bigger battery pack in it. And I like the power, not because I want to go fast, but because I want to climb steep hills. And so it's nice to be able to maintain 15 to 20 miles an hour when I'm going up a hill that's like a 10 or 11, 12% grade. So that way I don't have to slow the cars down or feel weird about being squished in between parked cars and moving cars. If I'm going to be in the road, I like to be as close to the cars as possible and not like sandwiched between the curb and everybody else flying by my left-hand side. That's not really my thing. Sometimes you just don't have a choice. But anyway, yeah, that's where it's at. So enjoy if you have one.